when we talked about what is the vision and national service, I think it does not begin or should not begin at the high school level. I think it needs to go to the primary school level.
Leveraging and launching our creative industries in the country.
That's gotten mixed reviews.
Well, I think what got mixed reviews is not the concept, but the labeling.
What we do today will affect those coming after us.
The former Deputy Prime Minister says the Christie administration is setting the country up for international embarrassment. Plans being finalized for the Defense Force to assist police in the fight against crime. Construction workers at Baha Mar out of work without warning. And visitors at Atlantis get a special surprise. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Nikia DeVoe, and this is NB12. Thanks for joining us here at Cable 12 Studios. Topping news tonight, the former Deputy Prime Minister is blasting the Christie administration over the delayed appointment of Dr. Elliston Rahming as Bahamas ambassador to the United States. He said the fact that the U.S. hasn't answered is an answer within itself and suggested government withdraw his name for consideration. Vonnie Toot has the story.
Former Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs Brent Symonette is demanding that government come clean on the status of Dr. Elliston Rahming's appointment as his country's ambassador to the United States. He says it's unusual for a confirmation to take this long and suggested that the U.S. government may be sending the Bahamas a message.
Will the government of the Bahamas admit to the people of the Bahamas why we do not have a U.S. ambassador? Is there something in his past why the U.S. will not approve him? I don't know. I'm asking. Inquisitive minds would like to know. Talk of the town, people slapping people. He slapped someone up. I don't know. I don't know. But it's unusual for the United States must be, in my humble opinion, sending a message.
Prime Minister Perry Christie announced Dr. Rahming's appointment on February 13th. 5 months later, still no confirmation from the U.S. Foreign Affairs Minister Fred Mitchell told reporters last month he would update the public on the status of Rahming's appointment on July 1st. However, on that day, he simply said the U.S. has not yet approved it. In his first interview since the May 2012 general election, Symonette said in his experience as Foreign Affairs Minister, it has never taken this long.
Did someone not do their homework? Did something in the past they don't know about? I don't know, but I think we need to know. You have a man who's in charge of your prison system, who you trust as a country with keeping criminals in jail. A purported criminologist, I think was his description before, who had all the answers to crime. And now he can't be appointed Bahamas ambassador to the United States. Something 1 and 2 does not make 3.
Symonette noted that the appointment of the High Commissioner in the UK went through fairly quickly. Therefore, he says he finds it both strange and interesting that the Bahamas still has no confirmed ambassador to the U.S. He says the American government needs to tell the Bahamas yes or no.
Not answering is giving you the answer. So maybe what they should do is withdraw the application and consider someone else. Both the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Prime Minister need to answer that question, because one might pass the buck to the other and vice versa. Just come clean. You know, they won on a question of transparency and consulting the people and everything else like that. Just tell us.
Rahming was also appointed permanent representative to the Organization of American States. Symonette isn't the first person to question the delay in his appointment as Bahamian ambassador, though. Hubert Chipman, who is the Free National Movement's shadow minister for foreign affairs, said last month he strongly believes the U.S. government has not agreed to the former prison superintendent's appointment, and the Christie administration will eventually withdraw his name to save face. Symonette says Bahamians should demand more answers on national issues, asserting that the public and media have always held the F&M government to a higher standard than the PLP government. Reporting for MB12, I'm Vonik Toot.
Last month, National Security Minister Dr. Brent pledged to deploy Defense Force officers to assist police in the fight against crime. As those plans are being finalized, Nottage is denying the redeployment will leave the Defense Force short-handed. Christina McNeil has more in this report.
While officials are hoping the redeployment of 150 Defense Force officers to assist police will put a dent in crime, they're also insisting the move will be a temporary measure and will not negatively impact the mandate of the Defense Force.
Some observers have expressed concern that with the mammoth task of patrolling and securing the country's borders, the Defense Force cannot afford to give up any manpower. However, Nottage insists the move is not a permanent one.
Or the use of the Defense Force to assist with policing is not meant to be a permanent thing. This is meant to be a matter which we think over time will not necessarily be required, because we also have plans to actively recruit more police officers. In fact, the Commission is getting ready to engage a new class now, and the Prime Minister has indicated that he's prepared to make the funds available for us to get as many police officers as we need.
And while some have expressed concern over a possible manpower shortage, Nottage says ongoing training and recruitment exercises are expected to bring in more officers.
The Defense Force does not have a manpower shortage at the present time. What the Defense Force were anticipating is when we get all the new boats that are on order and etc., then the amount of officers in the Defense Force will have to be increased. I think they now have about 1,200-1,300. They predicted they would need to increase it to as many as 1,900. There's time enough for us to do that through our regular recruitment and training.
Minister of State for National Security Keith Bell tells our news team that the ministry is tweaking the final plan for the Defense Force officers, and it will be rolled out in short order. Commissioner of Police Elliston Greenslade says the plan is for those officers to assist police with ancillary services.
We don't have, at the moment, Defense Force officers working directly with us. However, my minister and I have been discussing details of how we will, in the very near future, deploy possibly some Defense Force officers to support us with ancillary services. In the first instance, those were not duties on the front line, but duties that certainly will support us and help us to go ahead and do more work as we should as a police department.
During the 2013-2014 budget debate, Nottage said he doesn't care how it's done, but there needs to be a greater presence within communities to give citizens relief from the fear of crime. Reporting for NB12, I'm Christina McNeil.
Well, in other news, each year the government loses millions of dollars in customs revenue as thousands of items are smuggled into the country. But while many think illegal contraband tops the list, officials reveal that everyday items are also smuggled on a grand scale. Our Jasmine Bonamy has more in this report.
According to the Inter-American Development Bank, the Department of Customs collects 50% of the government's income. Over the past few weeks, the government has focused on revenue lost due to tobacco smuggling. It's estimated that figure stands at $20 million. But according to Customs Comptroller Charles Turner, that's only a small fraction of the $100 million the government loses in customs revenue each year due to fraud. But Turner says there are at least 2 other items that are being smuggled to the Bahamas in huge numbers.
In addition to the tobacco items, some of the items that are being smuggled in is bears, jewelry. They are a major concern for us at this time.
Turner says it's estimated that at least $5 to $10 million worth of bear is smuggled into the Bahamas each year. He adds that many of these smuggled items come by boat at local ports in New Providence and the Family Islands.
Persons are smuggling tobacco through by mainly cargo vessels, and many of them go through the ports, Family Island ports, and then they are transported to Nassau by way of Port of Ski. The tobacco smuggling is a major concern for the Customs Department. Wholesalers have informed us that they are losing revenue to the tune of some $20 million of the goods being smuggled in annually.
The Customs Comptroller continues to stress that there are challenges associated with tobacco smuggling and says it's also linked to organized crime.
Now, Turner says smuggling fines can reach up to $500,000 per convicted offense. Reporting for NV12, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.
The Customs Comptroller revealing that the department has gotten some negative feedback from residents in recent weeks due to increased customs taxes that came into effect on July 1st. Those new and increased fees are a part of the 2013-2014 budget that was passed in the House of Assembly last month. Turner says some of those complaints are levied at the Customs Department's environmental levies on cars, appliances, and electronic imports.
We have been receiving some complaints from the members of the public, but as you know, the Customs Department is to carry out instructions that are given by the government of the Bahamas. The government of the Bahamas in the budget debate in the customs regulations made some procession fees in regard to goods being imported, but also there was also some environment levy fees.
Some of the new environmental levies include $1 for the import of bicycle tires, $5 for motorcycle tires, $15 for refrigerators, $5 for personal computers, cell phones, and landline phones, as well as $200 for motor vehicles. Minister of State for Finance Michael Halkitis has called those fees reasonable, but Turner says the biggest challenge is getting residents to understand that point.
The challenge is explaining to the members of the public and visitors alike that they are the customs laws, and we, the customs officers, are to enforce the customs laws.